I'll cross to our US analyst, Kristin Tate, in just a moment. She's got an excellent column up on our website, skynews.com.au, looking at the breakdown in Australia's relationship with the United States. Kristin sums it up this way. In the transactional world of Trump diplomacy, respect is currency, and Mr Albanese has none to spend. So we started off our chat discussing whether Albanese's move to recognise a Palestinian state will be noticed in Washington.
Of course, this declaration to recognize Palestine, it defies the United States and Israel, and it will only deepen the tension between Australia and the United States. I mean, the state of the relationship between President Trump and Albanese, it's not just strained, it's nearly non-existent, Chris. And this, I believe, and as I wrote in my column, is largely due to political miscalculation on the part of your PM. He has made repeated nasty comments towards Trump, as has your now ambassador to the United States, who once said that Trump was the most destructive president in American history. And that's largely because many of these global elites, prior to the most recent election here in the United States, just thought Trump was sort of this blip, this political blip, and he would kind of fade away after the 2020 loss and he wouldn't really be important anymore. They really underestimated the Trump movement that has swept not only the United States, but actually the world, and is reshaping global alliances. So if your prime minister wants to build a relationship with Trump, it is going to take some humility. He may even have to come forward and apologize for some of his past statements, and he needs to be proactive in not only reaching out to the president himself, but to key people in the White House, to think tanks, and to other lawmakers and movers and groovers here in D.C. who can kind of serve as a bridge between our nations right now.
You are so right, Kristin. I couldn't disagree with a word of that. It's terrible diplomacy from Anthony Albanese. He doesn't seem to understand it. It was put to him that this decision would impact the US alliance. Here's what he had to say.
President Trump has made it very clear that he wants to see peace in the region. Australia wants to see peace in the region. We make our sovereign decisions as a nation state in Australia's national interest, and we are aligning ourselves with like-minded countries.
Well, you know, Kristin, I hate to talk my own country down, but that's our Prime Minister sounding like a Miss Universe beauty contestant. We all want peace, so it's all going to work out. For a more hard-headed analysis, here's the former Trump White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney.
France, the UK, and now apparently Australia are going to reward Hamas for invading Israel on October 7th, 2 years ago. That's what this is. I mean, that's how it's going to be spun in the United States. Again, Democrats are going to love it. People who are pro-Palestinian here are going to love it. But the folks in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House right now are not going to like it very much.
Mick Mulvaney there. Now, Kristin, Anthony Albanese is going to the US. He's going to the UN General Assembly next month. He's desperate to see Donald Trump. It sounds like he'll have a face-to-face meeting with Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian leader. What chance that he could get rebuffed by the president and not even get to meet him?
I mean, if history, if the last 6 months is any indicator, the chances are I guess, pretty significant that he won't get a meeting with the U.S. president. And this comes at a time where Albanese really needs at least some sort of communication, given the situation with the tariffs. The U.S. is, of course, the 5th largest destination for Australian goods exports. Australia wants concessions, but so far Trump has not given those. And, you know, it sounds sort of silly, but it's true. It kind of all comes down to personalities. Trump is the kind of leader who does not forget past nasty remarks from other leaders. He just doesn't. And so he does forgive people, though. So the only way to kind of repair this relationship, again, is for Albanese to be the one to try to proactively reach out to Trump in a meaningful way and show respect instead of just being dismissive to not only the president, but to the political movement that he represents.
Now, let's bring it from global affairs and the US alliance and Australia to very domestic politics for Donald Trump. Now, I've been to Washington, D.C. so many times over the last 20 years. I always find it a very safe city in the middle of town when you're going down the mall and to all the official buildings and the like, but it's easy to get into trouble in the suburbs of Washington, for want of a different word. And he's sending in the National Guard now to bolster security in D.C. Here's the president.
They'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long. But some of these people, a lot of them, are homegrown criminals.
Yeah, this is a huge move, Kristin. Tell us about how badly it's needed. How bad is the crime situation in DC? And are people welcoming the president getting involved in this way?
Yeah, the city is in a terrible state. It's been that way for years. I have family in the DC area. People who live there do not feel protected by the police. And, it's really interesting because Washington, DC, of course, is this city of splendid centers of power and iconic monuments. But it's also at the same time become kind of this burned out urban center where wayward youths can steal your car and you can just become the target of random violence just if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. President Trump made this move to send in the National Guard after a former DOJ worker was violently assaulted just 2 miles from the White House. So, you think this violence takes place so far away from the center of the city and where the White House is. Actually, it's crept in towards the center of the city. This has been going on largely. It's been really bad for years, but it's gotten worse since COVID and the 2020 Great Awakening. It is now the fourth highest homicide rate in the United States for cities. The Washington, D.C. is. So something needs to be done. Trump is doing the right thing. The question is he going to do it in New York and other cities? Because we kind of need it there, too.
Yeah, he doesn't have quite the same authority, I suppose, as he does in DC. It's going to be fascinating to watch. We'll catch up with you again next week, Kristin. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.